Well, I'm still making my obscure lighting experiments, and I am finding that it is a very effective way to make things glow, which is another handy feature. So here I am in default Bryce setup, and I've just created a standard Bryce primitive, this sphere, and I'm just going to set the scene now up to a very basic lighting setup. So we go for the sky and fog, and I'm going to change to atmosphere off and set the atmosphere to fully white. Then in the image based lighting tab, I'm going to use HDRI image, but I'm just going to use the sky to create a completely white HDRI image backdrop. Set the quality down to 16, use intensity apply to light source, HDRI effect disable true ambience optimization, and I'm going to increase the amount of effect by a factor of 10. Then I don't need to use this as a backdrop because I'm not going to use this to pick up any reflections. We're just doing, if you like, an ambient lighting setup. So it's very simple and it should render quite quickly, because I want to just show you the glowing component. Light from inside, cast shadows off, include background. That's an important step there. The next thing is to create a light source and edit that light source, true ambience optimization, use gel, include background again in the procedural, set to default. So that's going to capture our light. This important step here is to set the name to background, so it can then become a target for the light source that's lighting it from inside. Sky and fog, I'm now going to turn that to black and switch the render options. So this premium effects, 64 rays per pixel for now, true ambience, TA scatter correction, boost light, turn the maximum ray depth down to 4, and at this point, if I've done everything right, we should get this scene lit. Now at this point I'm going to increase the number of spheres, so I'll just make a little grid of spheres up here by copy and pasting, just so that we've got something to work with. So just bear with me a second while I copy and paste these to make a little grid of spheres. Right, and I'll just lift the camera up and around so we can get a better view of these. So the point being, right, I'm going to change the document setup. I'll make this 1:1 so I'm not rendering quite as much, and then it won't take so long when I switch up to the higher resolution. So there's our grid of spheres. If I want to make one of these glow, say that one there, select that sphere, change the attributes to background, and now that will become the recipient of the light, and it'll also become a light source in itself, although perhaps that's not very clear just yet, because the amount of light arriving from the light source outside is quite well balanced with this. So what we can do is select the background light source and edit the material of that and reduce the diffusion by 50%. So that's, now you can see that that's glowing more clearly, and then if we want more light out of that, we can increase this value. So if I increase that by a factor of 2 there, I'll get the same amount of light from the background, but this will have gone up in proportion, so that'll now be twice as bright. So I can continue this operation. So if I take that down to 25, then you can see now we've effectively created the illusion that that's glowing even more brightly, because we've provided more light from its link to the background. We can also change the colour of this by modifying its diffuse value. So in this material for this, if I change the diffusion to make it sort of a reddy orange colour, then even though it's receiving so much light that it'll cap out and make it appear white, the light produced by it will now be coloured. Now just show you the capping effect. If I go into the RGB values for this, hold the Alt key down, and I get rid of all the blue component, the presence of the red and the green should make it now appear yellow. So that's the hue shift effect. So you can see now that appears yellow because of getting rid of the other components. Likewise, if I want to, well, say this one here, well, I could change this one here. So if I just take sphere 8 and go background, I wanted to make that a light source. You can already see in the preview that it's now become a light source. In the material lab I could make that a bluey green colour, and if I didn't want it to be as bright reduce the diffuse value, and so that'll be a half brightness light source compared to this light source. As you can see, it's still appearing white because of the capping effect. So that's just a quick demonstration of how easy it is to use this obscure lighting method to create light sources in your render. You can see it's only taking 1.5 minutes to render at 64 rays per pixel. So if I switch this up to 256, even though this, to be fair, is not a very exciting render, you'll see it should be a very low noise. So we're only talking 10 minutes. So at this point I'll pause the video, and that can be the render that I used to put with the beginning of the tutorial.